Are you ready?
Starting now?
Oh, now you just messed it up, you knob. God, you know that the shit that we go through for this, huh?
I know. Fuckers better appreciate it. When we started, we were just like, yeah, we're just going to do this, man. You know, shoot our wad into the wind and see what happens. What's the title of this podcast again?
I don't know. I don't know. Something with a penis, I guess.
Right.
Our fucking faces are everywhere now.
Right.
You know, but
You're welcome, ladies.
Right. Popular with the ladies. Right. Oh, I'm not even going to apologize because hopefully it sounds fucking hilarious.
Yeah, totally. This is fucking explicit now.
The explicit button. Let me use my finger.
La, 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 la.
It is time for another episode of Sober, Not Mature. And that episode starts now. All right, everyone. Welcome once again to another episode of Sober, Not Mature. And by the time everyone hears this, it will be April Fool's Day.
How fitting.
I know, isn't it? A couple of fools to join you on this April of all fools.
That's right.
But realistically, though, or in reality, I guess I should say, it's Thursday night because have your. Is this the one that last year that I was joking around about the whore convention?
Yes, you were.
So it's not actually a whore convention. It's a horror. I'll let you explain because then we can actually talk a little bit about what Chris does. And at some point we're going to get her, I think probably put up on our podcast page is probably where we're going to need to put her on our sponsor page. But talk about what you're doing this weekend.
All right. Well, twice a year here in the land of Cleve, actually Strongsville, the Ville of Strong. There is a local horror convention called Cinema Wasteland. And my girlfriend, Chris, who you all know from past episodes, she does horror art. And she does all kinds of creepy, cool stuff. And her shop is Simply Wicked Decor. She's on Instagram and all that stuff. She's got a Etsy store. And she gets a table there. It actually took her, I want to say at least 2 years, maybe 3 to get in. Once you get in, you do not want to get out. It's a little tough to get into, but she finally did. And our pals over at the Mummy and the Monkey will be there. They've had a booth there for a long time. It's just good, clean fun. This year, like I said, they do it twice a year. They do one in the fall and one in the spring. And this one is going to feature several people associated with the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, some actors and stuff. Yeah. So it's going to be cool. It's always a really good time. It's 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And, they show horror movies and they have vendors there and celebrity guests. There's my air quotes. And it's just fun. It's just fun. So, that's where I'm going to be all weekend. And I want to apologize to the guests that we were supposed to have on tomorrow, but I thought somehow I was going to be able to do it all. And hey, guess what? That's what I get for thinking.
Right, and it's Shay who we were gonna had scheduled for tomorrow. And when I had posted everything for the upcoming guests, I put a note in there that it was our fault, not hers.
Right,
that we're pushing
and
it off.
Technically, it's my fault.
Well, you and I, brother, we're in this together. So
I know
it is because you offered to do it from your car, and in my head, I'm like, I ain't gonna fucking work, man. We don't need to go. We don't have to live that way anymore, right?
Oh, damn! All right.
But no, she was cool about it, and Mike and I were kind of laughing about it because we talked about it after we got done recording last week's episode, of course,
Yeah.
the episode where we were bashing somebody else for
Well,
canceling
of
on us,
course.
and then I'm like, fuck, man, now we're going to be the ones to do it. So,
Mhm.
but no, Shay was cool. She said, I gave her the entire month, because the only person we had tentative was at that point was Ashley
Right.
on the 22nd, which is she's still scheduled for that, but we had the rest of it open. I wasn't gonna schedule anyone else until we gave Shay
The
the
22nd of
opportunity.
April. Why does that ring a bell to me?
Well, let's see. I believe it is your anniversary, which is the reason
It
that
is.
I'll be out in Cleveland that weekend. So
Right.
yeah, but yeah, we're
Yeah.
gonna one way or the other. We weren't going to record until Saturday anyhow, until somebody gets a little bit more time under their belt,
Right.
But yeah, there's my, I was starting early this year, but
It's getting to be that time, it's almost that season.
It is, and it was. We should probably tell that story again in a second, but yeah. So anyhow, Shay was super cool about it, so we got her set for the 28th of April now, I believe. If I'm not looking at the dates right now, but it's the last Friday in April. It worked out best for her. So
Cool.
And she's got a husband, she's got kids, she's got a life.
How dare she?
I know, a little bit busier than probably you and I most of the time.
Right.
So I wanted to give her that flexibility. So
cool.
But yeah, I just thought about that, and I was like, yeah, that was. I mean, we were pretty much brand new at doing this thing like a year ago, and I remember when you brought that up, and just you said horror so quickly. I was teasing about the horror and the horror.
The horror convention.
Yeah.
All right, I got to be honest now. It is a convention of horrors.
If you're still there, you cut out.
Of course I did.
Oh.
But it's coming up on the thing, so you can't hear me, but it's recording.
Yeah, that's okay. I can hear you now. You still there?
I'm still here, and it was all recording.
Yeah, I mean, again, now I can hear you. Just for a minute there, you cut out, but not a big deal. I'll either you can repeat yourself, or I'll hear it on the replay.
You'll hear it. It wasn't that good.
Yeah, that's okay. But so here's the other thing I was thinking about. Oh, the 11 or the when he has more time thing, and I think we brought this up way in the beginning. But so Mike and I don't really think about it much anymore. We fuck around on here every once in a while, but I mean, both of us have, in our opinion, we have the same amount of time. I mean, we are 4 days apart, and I've got a beat, so I do like to bring it up every once in a while.
Exactly.
Yeah, going back to last week's episode, what is it? It was arrogance versus confidence, and I like to be arrogant when it comes to that. But it was our first year, and Mike used to always ride with me when we went to meetings when we lived in the three-quarter house, and it was shortly after I hit 11 months, and he had not hit his 11-month mark yet, so it was within that 4-day period, and he's like, hey, he goes, heading to the meeting, of course, can I grab a ride? And I'm like, maybe when you get a little bit more time.
Yeah.
Because that was just that was the joke when we were, again, quote unquote, growing up in this thing in Cleveland, was we'll understand more when we got more time, when people had more time. People said that all the time, which is true. I mean, you grow and you appreciate and and all those things, just like anything else. But
I believe it's in the big book. It says more will be revealed.
Exactly.
Right.
So every once in a while we did that, for the first few years, and now I sometimes I kind of sit back and wait, and if it gets teed up for me, then I'll use it. But again, it's just I don't use it as much as I used to. It was more funny to begin with, I think. But
oh, it's still pretty damn funny. I like the fact that you have 4 more days than I do, and yeah, right. Those 4 days are important. Every day is important.
Right. At that time frame, we joked the one time, you were in detox, and I was joking that I was living my best life already.
Right, exactly. Yeah, well, I got to drink 4 more days than you, so there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, literally. I mean, see, so day 1 was that Saturday, and I literally don't remember anything until Monday. So figure late Saturday night is when I went into detox. So at least for the first 2 days of living my best life, I don't even remember because they were.
Yeah, well, guess what? I was living my worst life, and I don't remember them either. So,
Well, look at that, we're even.
right.
Oh yeah. So two things. Obviously, let's do your reading. But I thought about it
Yeah.
since this is falling on, I mean, literally the first of the month. We might as well. You want to just
Are
talk
we
about?
gonna?
Yeah, I thought so. Might as
No,
well,
okay. I
get the
thought we were
force
gonna
up out of the
wait,
way.
but fine.
I
Because
just
do we have a guest next week? No.
No, next week's
Yeah.
open, and then Melissa's on the 14th, and then we
Right.
got 3 weeks on Melissa, Ashley, and then Shay. I just figured, this all falls. It falls well, and this kind of came around quickly. I've got other things to talk about, but I figured it'd be, we might as well. It's going to hit on the first of the month anyhow, so that was my thought, unless you got other things on your mind.
I no, but I would have probably picked a more more appropriate reading. But fuck it, I'm going to read this anyway.
All right.
This is what I picked. All right, January 23rd. The more we give of anything, the more we shall get back. Grace Spear, some author broad. When we first hear this advice, it doesn't make sense. How can we get more of something by giving it away? Yet we hear the same advice in step 12 of our recovery program. You must give it away in order to keep it. What does this mean? Maybe it means that when we pay attention to living in this way, we change our whole value system and our behavior. For example, we could choose to lay our anger and whining on others, but that doesn't really get rid of it. In fact, we find that people tend to join in our negative behavior and feed it. We end up with more. But if we give to others the feelings that we really want to keep, understanding, honesty, kindness, patience, and humor, they will share their good stuff with us too, and that helps us stay sober. Prayer for the day. Higher power, help me share important things today, the things I want more of. Today's action. Those pesky actions. Today I will be aware of what I am giving others with my behavior. If I need to share negative comments or ideas, I will balance each one with 5 positives. I'm making life better for others and for myself too.
So I think that was an appropriate reading. So here's the thing, and like you said, way back when I said I was going to share my list with you the one time, and I think your exact words was no, because it would give you more time to lie, or more time to
Right.
think up lies. And
Think of
honestly,
lies.
yeah, think up lies. And I thought about it. I don't even know what day it was. A couple of days ago, whatever. I mean, it's only Thursday, so it might even been Monday. And I'm like, well, yeah, we should do that only because it's going to fall on the first, and then who knows? We got a whole week to get other shit in order. And but then I'm like, I'll let Mike know, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to, because he told me not to. But you know what? I'm glad he didn't, because that reading, I think, was important, and I'll tell you why. I mean, first of all, I liked it. The give it away to keep it. I mean, it's something that
Right.
we clearly have learned from day one. But like laying anger on others and negative feelings and all this sort of things. I've been in like this. I've just been in a mood, not necessarily a bad mood, but just a mood, and I'm, it's like one of those things where I kind of learned when I get in moods like this, it just sometimes it's better for me to just get quiet, because I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know what's irritating me, and it's not even an irritation. I don't know what is causing this, whatever this mood is. So I just kind of quiet down, and I try to figure it out. Then I'm thinking about everything, and I mean, it could be everything. There's a lot of shit going on, as always.
Sure.
I mean, there's work stuff. I mean, there's a whole nother little thing that popped up there about my vacation. Vacation days coming up. I got a little bit of getting some shit from my boss about that. So I've got that, the web store I'm still working on. That is more of an impatience thing, because it's that takes time, and I get it. But I'm just like, I'm trying to figure out all this different shit, trying to push it in certain directions. Even so much as like our Instagram, and I told you, I think the reach that we have now has dropped, since the first of the year. And I mean, a lot, by almost 50%. And what it is, it's reach outside of our normal followers. We're still getting the same reach. Our posts are getting the same reach to people who actually follow us, but it used to reach a wider audience, and I mean huge, where we'd have 3,000 followers and it's reaching like 40,000 people or something like
Hmm.
that. Now it's like we have, like 41 or 4,200 and it's reaching like 25, 24,000 total,
Hmm.
So, but I've been talking to other people about it. Ashley was one. Who else told me that? Shay might have been one. And
Hmm.
I've been doing some reading, so it's not just us. And I know that,
Hmm.
but I'm doing all these different things and I read our hashtags and I'm, it's like do this and do that. And I'm like, is it because we're advertising all this shit, and tagging all these products?
Hmm.
I can't figure it out. And I'm just like, fuck me. Which again, I've kind of resolved myself to the fact that it is what it is, but it's still kind of on my
Right.
mind,
Hmm.
and then the other thing I thought about is there's the house is on the market now. That's not
Right.
it's not stressing me out. It's going to sell when it's going to sell.
Hmm.
We had an offer that fell through, not a big deal. None of that is stressing me out, but there was just that time frame. I think when the 3, 4, 5 months when there was always something to do, and now there's
Right.
not.
Right. Right. Right.
And that just kind of occurred to me today. You know,
Hmm.
and a friend of ours reached out to me today, one of our followers, and we were messaging back and forth. And she's like, "Is everything okay?" And it was kind of funny because her and I just we'll message back and forth through Instagram, and she's good
Hmm.
shit. She's good shit, and we're friends and back and forth in a stupid conversation. But she noticed that over the last couple of days I got quiet, so I was just telling her all
Right.
this shit, and I feel better, after talking about
Hmm.
it. And
Hmm.
and I told her that, and I thanked her. I'm like, well, thank you, first of all, for checking in like that,
Right.
but on top of that too, that kind of talking through and realizing that I still don't know what it is, but
Hmm.
it is what it is. Just
Right.
it's life, and I got to maintain through it. I got to figure out whatever the hell it is, or I don't. You know what? And I don't know if I brought it up after um, our dad's death of his anniversary this year, but that
Hmm.
didn't bother me at all. Whereas last year, I was just in a fucking mood like crazy after that. Now it's
Right.
this. Now whatever this
Hmm.
is, But but here's the other thing too is that usually leading into our anniversaries, it's like that last 30 days or stuff like that. I don't get in a mood, but a lot of times I get very almost reflective and I don't realize it until
Hmm.
I, kind of
Hmm.
focus on it.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, do you get the same way, kind of like
Oh
reflecting on
yeah,
shit?
yeah, definitely, definitely. I know I'm still fucking amazed that it's been this long
Right.
since I've had a fucking drink or a drug. Um, yeah, yeah, but yeah, definitely. Right before that metaphorical calendar flips over. Yeah, it does get a little strange. It's not the cruising along. It's whatever it is, it's something. Yeah,
Right.
I feel it too. Yeah, it's a little tough
Well,
to put into words, but yeah, I gotcha.
yeah, and I think that's just another thing. So, but here's the other thing too is that when I'm thinking about all this stuff, like my job, for instance, it's again all this
Mm-hmm.
different shit. It's not even worth talking about it because it's not going to change. Well, something will change at some point, but
Mm-hmm.
nothing I can
Right.
change at the moment.
Right.
Um, but I do have that, and I wrote down. This was like 2 weeks ago. Let me just grab this. I don't remember what I wrote. I wrote down this gratitude list,
Mm-hmm.
and I haven't done it. I haven't literally written one down in a while.
Right.
But in my handwriting, gratitude list in parentheses, sobriety is number one. So that's my top
Mm-hmm.
section.
Mm-hmm.
So these are things I just wrote down right off the top of my head quickly. Was food, clothing, shelter. Typical
Mm-hmm.
things that made me
Mm-hmm.
think about what Megan was talking about.
Right.
That popped into my head right away. Um, The second thing I wrote down was to be a part of mom's death, which
Mm-hmm.
may seem weird,
Mm.
but it is. It's something I'm grateful for to have been here, to be
Yeah.
here to help now and do all these
Mm-hmm.
things. This podcast as an
Mm-hmm.
outlet, in parentheses, I put as an outlet and helping, hopefully helping
Mm-hmm.
people,
Right.
relationships, all of them. Um, no bad relationships, nothing
Mm-hmm.
for me, nothing for me to fix.
Right.
My health and opportunity. I wrote down opportunity to do the web store because
Mm-hmm.
the only way that I can, and again, not, and I mean, not that I'm spending a ton of money on that, but it has, it's had a certain cost involved,
Mm-hmm.
time and money. And
Right.
if I were if I were not here now, I give Kathy money every month. It doesn't matter what
Mm-hmm.
amount I give her money every month.
Right.
But I'm not paying a full set of bills like I was.
Mm-hmm.
And if I was doing that, I wouldn't necessarily have, the extra money to have been able to do the things I'm doing with that and what we started
Mm-hmm.
with, some of the other things we've been doing. So, these are the things. And seriously, it was like 2 weeks ago I wrote this down, and I was just like, I got it sitting on my dresser, my desk here, but I forgot what I wrote down on it until I just read it off. But
How quickly we forget.
well, but that's the point, right? That's why we write them
Mm-hmm.
down.
That's it, man. Yeah. Take that focus because, all the other noise in our lives will drown it out if we allow it. Yeah, definitely.
Right. But I mean, seriously, I can't remember the last time that and you and I talked about gratitude lists and gratitude
Mm-hmm.
things. God, I don't know how many times throughout this process, but
Right.
I can't remember the last time I wrote it down. So I did. I was working one day and I just wrote this shit down. Took me, I didn't even think that took me 3 or 4 minutes to write those 5 or 6 things down.
Right.
And I haven't added to it, but those are the main things right off the top of my head. What
Mm-hmm.
do they like our sponsors and everyone tell us, like we give a lead and when we talk and stuff like that. What do they tell us? Of how, like you always say, you don't prepare, right?
Right.
And there's a reason behind that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because, if I prepare, I don't even know. I couldn't imagine like writing things down to say to a lead. No, it needs to come from the heart, man. My brain's all fucked up still. I don't want to, I'm not going to get up there and talk to my brain.
Right.
That's a mistake.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
and that's the thing is, and I think that those are probably without a doubt the exact words I remember. My sponsor said that whatever you say up there, as I went by with my first lead, he said as long as it comes to the heart, he said it'll
Mm-hmm.
hit the right place. He might even
Right.
said it'll hit people and hit people's hearts or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
But that was one of the things I just wrote down the first things that came off the top of my head and just left it because I almost sat there and like there should be more. And I'm like, no, this is what came off. Okay. No.
Yeah, you're an alcoholic. There should be more.
well, you know what I mean. I'm like, there's
I
probably
know exactly what you mean.
more things on that list. I think more things that are on that list that I'm grateful for, but
Sure.
those are the ones that hit me. So clearly, those are the main ones that were affecting my heart and brain at the time. I don't know
Right.
whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But so
Hell,
no,
I
I mean
need to do one of those.
but I mean, I that's why I say as you were reading that, giving it away. I mean, I obviously
Mhm.
I think I know for a fact that every time that I read something, one of the readings that says, are willing to have your hand out or help or whatever, I always
Mhm.
agree to it, and I am. And if I'm approached by somebody who needs help, I
Mhm.
don't remember ever saying no unless it's physically impossible for me to help somebody.
Right.
So I know I'm willing to, like the reading said, give it away, and
Mhm.
I don't. It's not my. It's not my goal to lay fucking anger on people.
Right.
that's again. Sometimes I gotta get quiet, because I don't know what it is, and I don't know. I don't want to say shit, Not that
Mhm.
I'm not mad at anyone. I'm not irritated at anyone,
Mhm.
But who knows what's going to come out of this fucking mouth if I don't even know what's going on in my fucking head,
Right.
you know.
Right.
So, yeah.
And yeah, and in the part of the reading, it was one of my dog-eared ones that that I used to use in group, and as human beings, I'm a loner and I'm an isolator and I don't like to be around a lot of people and all that good stuff. But as human beings, we want to be a part of. It's just the way we're wired. And I mean, I used to, I used to literally, I wanted everybody to be as miserable as I was.
Right.
I did. That was a huge part of my personality for a long time. I'm fucking miserable and I want you to be too, because deep down somewhere in my psyche, I didn't want to be alone, you know? And that's the part of the reading that I like is what I try to make the people around me happy now. And hey, guess what? I'm surrounded by happy people now, and it makes my life better. that's the cool thing. Like, like Bob used to say, it's AA math. It doesn't fucking add up, and it still doesn't. And it probably never will. But, it does make a little more sense to me now. I'm not going to be as miserable if everybody around me is miserable. And if I don't make everybody around me miserable, then I won't be as miserable. Imagine that.
But so you're saying in year 14, all this stuff isn't going to just start making sense to us? I thought that was, didn't they say that year 14 was when
was that it? I must have missed that page.
It's on page 165.
Exactly.
But no, you're right, because and that's the other thing too. If I'm in a mood, if I'm in a good mood, I want to try to lift somebody up, and if I'm in a bad mood, and I know exactly what you're talking about. The old saying is, misery loves company, which is true. And when you said that about how wanting people to be miserable with you, I thought about that, and think about back when we were drinking, if you had a weird day, bad day, whatever, because we had bad days then, right?
Oh yeah.
So come on, let's go out and get ripped up. Let's go do some drinking, and
Right.
I hear that how many stories have we heard? I've heard that recently on podcasts, and it kind of popped out to me because that's true. Let's go out and drink this thing away, and you go with your friend, and you join in their misery, and it's kind of, I don't know. Is that human nature in a bad way?
I think so. Yeah. Well, yeah. I think it's human nature, and it's what you do with it.
Right.
Which if we're going to talk about the fourth step, God damn. See, I sort of thought about, because I knew the month was coming up, the beginning of the month, and I knew we were going to talk about it either this week or next week. Thought next week. Shit, man. There's no way. Do I have it in my phone? I don't know.
What are you looking for?
Well, the 12 and 12, the beginning of the fourth step in the 12 and 12, I think is one of the best bits of writing old Bill W. ever did.
Well, hang on 1 second. Give me 30 seconds there. There's a book right out in the hallway. The 12 and 12 is out in the hallway.
Mine's downstairs.
Talk amongst yourself. Hang on.
All right, fine. Hi there. Yes. So Bill went to grab his 12 and 12. If you don't know what the 12 and 12 is, it's the 12 steps and 12 traditions. It is actually I like the 12 and 12 better than the big book. Bill Wilson wrote the big book, basically. And he, 10, 15 years later, decided to expand on the 12 traditions and the 12 steps. And, I really, really liked.
I'm back, by the way.
Hi there. All right, good, because I don't know where the hell I was going with that.
That's okay.
Oh, yeah, the 12 and 12. I love the 12 and 12 more than I like the big book. That's what I was going to say.
Well, and it was just funny when you were talking about it. So I've got a brand new 12 Steps and 12 Traditions book in my hand, which, did we mention that we sell these?
I think we're about to.
Yeah, they came out of our box of goodies, but yeah, we do have again all these books, but yeah, when you said that, and I haven't had a 12 and 12 in years, and I don't know what happened to it, but yeah, so it's probably in. Where it probably is? Probably in a box and in storage. Oh, and I get a fucking email today from the storage company twice now. So I put my shit in storage June, whatever it was, 28th. I don't know, 27th, 28th before I came down here.
Right.
And I was down here for a few months, and they send the email, oh, as much as we hate raising the price, blah, and they raised it by $10. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, it is what it is. And then I just get another fucking email today, as much as we hate raising the price. And I'm like, you motherfuckers. So I actually emailed them back, and I'm like, really? Twice in less than a year? And I mean, it's going up by almost 25% in less than a year. I'm like, what I put in the email, again, nicely, but I'm like, it's not, I'm not happy about it, but it's not like I could just move my stuff out of there,
Right.
But yeah, it's, whatever it was like $80, and now it's going to be, or no, 89. So now it's going to be, like 109, which it is what it is. I mean, it needs to be there, but I'm like, you motherfuckers. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know why I brought that up.
Inflation.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and that's what these fucking cocksuckers over there look, yeah,
Mhm.
inflation. Well, yeah, we have to deal with it too.
Right. Yeah.
All right. So, do you want me to read out of the what part of the whole book or
It's
the
like,
whole?
nah, it's like the first couple of paragraphs talking about our human nature and our instincts.
Okay. So, step 4. And first of all, before we dive into this, before anyone who's not a
Mm-hmm.
12-step person shuts us off, just stop for a minute, okay?
Right.
If you haven't shut us off already. But
Right.
if you've listened to us at all, I mean, Mike and I are we're AA based. This is where we got our start. This is
Mm-hmm.
how we live. All those
Mm-hmm.
sort of things. But when we talk about these things, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but we read out of the books and we talk about things like that, but we also try to make it relatable for those who might not be in a 12-step program,
Right.
because some of these, not even some, all of these steps can be relatable, even if you don't believe in Alcoholics Anonymous or the steps
Mm-hmm.
themselves.
Right.
So my point is, listen beyond the fact that this is a step in Alcoholics Anonymous. You just listen to it as a possible life lesson. How's that?
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Exactly.
So now I'm going to quote step 4 from Alcoholics Anonymous.
Gird
Uh,
your loins, people.
right. Okay. So the step itself has made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And paragraph number 1, creation gave us instincts for a purpose. Without them, we
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't be complete human beings. If men and women didn't Oh, I'm sorry. Didn't exert. I thought I said event themselves. I'm like, what the fuck? Didn't exert themselves to be secure in their persons. Made no effort to harvest food or construct shelter. There would be no survival. If they didn't reproduce, the earth wouldn't be populated. If there were no social instinct, if men cared nothing for the society of one another, there would be no society. So these desires for the sex relation, for material and emotional security, and for companionship are perfectly necessary and right and surely God given. So that's the end of paragraph 1.
Right.
Is there more to it that you want
Yeah, do the second paragraph.
to?
I think he talks about the instincts getting a little out of control.
Okay. Um, Yet these instincts, so necessary for our existence, often far exceed their proper functions. Powerfully, blindly, many times subtly, they drive us, dominate us, and insist upon ruling our lives. Our desires for sex, for material and emotional security, and for an important place in society often tyrannize us. When thus out of joint, man's natural desires cause him great trouble, practically all the trouble there is. No human being, however good, is exempt from these troubles. Nearly every serious emotional problem can be seen as a case of misdirected instinct. When that happens, our great natural assets, the instincts, have turned into physical and mental liabilities.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Well, you know what? You know what the good thing is that first of all, as much as we say on a regular basis that we're not, book people and things like that, we're not. I mean, we're not like
Right.
big book thumpers, and we don't always remember the. We usually remember where things are and important parts
Mhm.
like this. So, I give you all the credit in the world for remembering that. So, so we knew to read the first 2 paragraphs.
Right, right. Well, we can actually give the credit to a group of drunks that meet down in Ohio City. I went to a 12 and 12 meeting for like first 5 years of my sobriety, like every week. And we would do the 12 steps and the 12 traditions and the 4 absolutes in that group. And we just rotate them. And I literally did that for like 5 years. So, yeah, that stuff got pretty pounded into my head. It needed to be.
Right.
But yeah, okay. So yes, our natural instincts are good, and as he says, whatever God given this atheist said that, but it's our nature. It's whatever reason we have these instincts to take care of ourselves. But with us drunks and drug addicts, it gets all fucked up, and we don't see anything beyond ourselves, and we do everything we can to to take care of our own asses and fuck everybody else.
Right.
That is our problem.
That is the root of our troubles, as they say, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it says, and I just opened it back up, powerfully, blindly, many times subtly, they drive us, dominate us, and insist upon ruling our lives.
Yep.
Then it talks about desires for sex, which I don't think that's a problem. Material. Wait, let's take out the ones that don't apply to us.
Oh, we're picking and choosing now.
Clearly, I did that on purpose, but no, of course
I
not.
know.
But yeah, and the thing of it is when when we're doing our 4-step, that's part of it. that the sex inventory, and using it for for good, bad, or good, bad, or evil, and
Right.
yeah, I mean, I get it. I mean, there's a lot of people that I don't really. Well, I got to say, I don't necessarily understand people who have a sex addiction. Where
Mhm.
I mean, I do. I get the point. It's the same thing as in eating disorder or
Right.
Overeaters Anonymous and that sort of thing, or Gamblers Anonymous. Whatever you're doing, you do it to a fault and to the point where it actually gets you in trouble. So
Mhm.
where it becomes dangerous or whatever the case is, or where you just doing stupid shit. I get that, but it's still fun to kind of joke about. It's like, well, what's wrong with this whole sex thing, man?
Right.
But yeah, used to anything that's not used for good, and it could be used for selfish and or, as they say, evil reasons, is probably not a good thing, right?
Right. Yeah. Harmful reasons. Exactly. Yeah. And that's for all of you kids out there that, that big, bad, scary 4-step, that's anybody that's been around a 12-step program for any amount of time. People get hung up. They get scared of the 4-step. And I tell people all the time, look, man, it's exactly what it says it is. It's an inventory. We look at the good things about ourselves and we look at the bad things about ourselves. How the hell are we going to change the bad things if we don't look at them?
Right.
How are we going to know to keep the good things if we don't look at them? And that's all it is. That's all it is, man. We have to look at our lives and how we've taken these instincts that everyone has and we've bastardized them, and they've got all fucked up in our heads, and we need to look at that, and that's all it is. That's it, man. So don't be scared of the 4-step. It's not that big of a deal. And once you get through it, you don't never have to fucking do it again. And you just got to do little mini ones every fucking day for the rest of your life.
Yeah, and that comes up in October, because that's the 10th
Yep.
step. But we talk about the 10th step enough, and I know that we've got stories about how we came up to our 4-step, which I think I think it would bear repeating. Those stories, because I think it was important and they were long enough ago. But in looking at the time here, now that we got this initial thing out, before we ramble on to too much, you want to take a break real quick?
Absolutely. So stay tuned to hear about how we did our little 4th steps right after this word from our sponsor.
Hey everyone, it's your friends at Sober Not Mature.
Hi there.
And yes, it's both of your friends this time. Hi Mike, how are you?
I'm well. How are you, Bill?
I am doing well, but we do have a purpose. We actually usually talk about our one website, but we actually have 2 websites now. So
Two?
2 websites in one. All right, so everyone knows we still have the podcast website that is www.SoberNotMature.com. And we just launched the store website, so we also have that. Do you know what the website address is on that one, Mike?
Of course I don't.
It's pretty easy, Mike. It's www.SoberNotMatureShop.com. But from the podcast website, you can still hit the store link and get into the web store, or you can access it from our Instagram page through the highlights. We've been posting quite a bit about it, and we'll continue to do that. But do you know what's on the second website, Mike?
Well, there's a store. There are products that you can purchase for you and your loved ones.
Well, Mike, do we still have merchandise?
We have merchandise. Well, we got T-shirts and coffee mugs and all kinds of crap.
And one of the coolest parts, we also do have all the recovery books from Hazelden, which is kind of a big deal.
That is
at
a
least-
big deal.
Yeah, at least for us. So all the books that we read, God Grant Me, 24 Hours, the Big Book, the 12 and 12, all of those books are available for sale on our website. And
They
once
are.
again, that store website is www.sober.
Trying to help, man.
I know you are. You're not helping, though. Okay, now I got to say www.SoberNotMatureShop.com.
.com.
.com. Visit that today, or visit the podcast website, which is, again, the podcast website. So
www.SoberNotMature.com.
did you just say sober but not mature?
Yeah, sure. Write that down.
Yeah, like fucking mush mouth or something. All right, everyone, you've suffered enough with this, and we'll get back to what we were talking about previously. So visit the websites, though. All right, welcome back. And now it's time to hear how Mike and Bill got their 4-step done.
Right. We grabbed a pencil and we grabbed a piece of paper.
Well, and I think let's go back to because you met with both at that time we had different sponsors, because after a period of time we ended up with the same sponsor, Joe,
Right.
Who's again super cool guy, and we just saw him. When was that we saw him? When was that? Back in
that was
August.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think because I know we went to the meeting. We saw him a couple of times over this past calendar year, but
Right.
previous 2022 calendar year. But yeah, so at this time we both had different sponsors. If I remember correctly, both of us were around 7 months sober, so we were through the halfway part of the Keating Center. So
Right.
theoretically, for at least a month or 2 months or whatever it was, we were perfectly fine and kind of jumping into that 4-step, because again, when you're in the Keating Center, they recommend that you just focus on those first 3 steps and work those first 3 steps thoroughly, and then move on. So
get good at working those first 3 steps every day.
Right.
Yeah.
And then so you met with your sponsor, and how did that conversation go? Because I know we both did it at the same time, and then I can say what happened on my end. So
I was just I was willing to ask another man for some help in something I needed to do. I had done a 4-step before, and but it wasn't the same. It was me focusing on resentments and stuff, which is part of it, but I was doing too much of that and not really looking at the whole picture. And clearly I wanted to do this thing right this time. So yeah, I went over his house, and we just kind of talked about it. I don't even really remember a lot of the specifics. I know he gave me he gave me an outline that wasn't real official AA, but it was helpful because it had helped him. And I honestly, when I did my 4-step this time, I didn't go into every little minutia detail, everything that pissed me off. I took a fearless and honest inventory of myself, of the person that I was, the person that I had become at 43 years old, or whatever the hell I was at that point. And the way I lived my life and the way I looked at the world, and saw that it was wrong, and I needed to flip it. And it gave me a point of view about myself. I had spent my whole life focused on myself, but not in an honest way. And I finally did look at myself in an honest way and went, Jesus, what a piece of shit. I should probably start acting. I should probably start acting better. And I did. I started acting better. And very slowly, I started to become a better person by faking it for a while. Yeah, but yeah, it was, and I did again. I saw some of the aspects of myself that were good, and had to focus on them and nurture them, because God knows they were buried under a ton of shit. But they were there. They needed to be tended to. And that was part of it too. So yeah, that was, and I wrote this shit
Well,
down. And go ahead.
no, go ahead. I thought you paused. I thought you were done, but no, go ahead.
Oh, hell, I don't know. Yeah, I wrote the shit down, looked at it, and went, oh boy, I'm an asshole. I need to change.
That's the easy wrap up. And I didn't even know, seriously, I
Yep.
didn't mean to interrupt you. And the funny thing is this, we don't do that much anymore, because it's just that,
Mhm.
like you said, I don't know, a handful or 10 or 20 episodes ago that we've kind of gotten into our rhythm. And I can catch it
Mhm.
when you pause, and when we've gotten into this rhythm. So again, I apologize
Sure.
for that. But,
Yeah, whatever.
the thing of it is, and what caught me with what you said is you were always focused on yourself, but it made
Mhm.
me think of, you were looking, but you weren't really seeing,
Mhm.
and that's easily what, I mean, everything was, well, we've talked about it, everything was about, I thought everything was about me. Everything should be about me, and
Mhm.
blah, blah, blah.
Of
It's this,
course.
the selfish and self-centered thing. But no, I mean,
Uh-huh.
I never looked at any of that. But so it's kind of funny. I don't remember you telling me that like Tim gave you the outline and things like that. And I'm sitting
Mhm.
here and I'm thinking, well, that's really fucking nice, man, because I didn't get that. But
Ooh, do I give you a resentment?
no, no, not at all. Because here's the thing, and I say this with 100% complete honesty. The things that pissed me off going through this process, especially, in the beginning, and well, anytime something has pissed me off in this whole recovery thing, it's always
Mhm.
been for the right reasons, and I may not
Right.
realize it at that time, but it's always been. So I sat down with my sponsor, and he took me to it was a restaurant brewery, which I thought was weird, but he brought that up at the
Mhm.
time, and he said he was trying to show me something, show me we're here and we're talking about recovery and we're not drinking, but we can
Mhm.
be here, kind of, again, we talked about being at the event and, going for something, not the party type of thing. But until he said that, it was a little uncomfortable. But then I remember asking him, I'm like, hey, am I ready? Am I ready to, to do my fourth? And, he
Mhm.
asked me how long I've been sober, and I said 7 months. And he's like, okay, so you're 7 months into a lifelong journey. He said,
Right.
if you want to do it, he goes, I'm fine with that. He goes, I think you're good to go, but he said it's got to be up to you. And I said, oh,
Mhm.
okay, so that's cool. And then I said, so how do I do it? And he says, well, read the book. And I'm like, no, seriously, how do
Mhm.
I? What do I do? And he said, read the book. And again,
Mhm.
that's in when I told him the first time, I'm like, and that pissed me off because
Sure.
it did. I wanted, like what you got, I wanted a piece of paper, I wanted an outline. Um, I wanted somebody to show me, but what he did was he taught me. It makes me think right off the top of my head. Give a man a fish and blah blah blah, and teach him how to fish, whatever.
Mhm.
So he taught me how to go through the process. He didn't give this to me.
Right.
But he was there for me, and both of us procrastinated, and you did yours
Mhm.
either right before your year or right after, right? And I didn't do mine.
Before.
Okay,
Yeah.
I did mine 1 week after because mine got canceled because it was
Mhm.
fucking Easter, and of course the priest was busy. Yeah, it's yeah.
Yeah, it's a busy season for him.
I know. Hey, I think the motherfucker's got other shit to do, man. I gotta
Hmm.
get my fist step done. But
That's right.
yeah. So I mean, I did. I read through the book, and I did. I looked up a couple of things, and I remember having a sheet of paper, like this columned sheet of paper, um,
Right.
that gave me some guidelines. And the club that I went to in Mequon in Wisconsin, they
Mhm.
had a workbook there that, a couple of the, actually I saw a bunch of the guys, they would give that to people that they were sponsoring. And, it was
Mhm.
actually like a 4-step guidebook, which again
Right.
would have been great, at the time. But looking back now, I'm glad he did it the way that he did, because I had to kind of fumble through. I wasn't sure if I was doing right. It caused a bit of anxiety, but
Mhm.
and we can talk more about the fifth step next month, but all
Mhm.
said and done, I mean, I felt really good about it, and
Right.
but the same thing, the writing everything down, that wasn't the hardest part for me. It was that, again, what we'll talk about next month, that was the hard part for me, reading it out loud, um,
Mhm.
but yeah, writing it down, it was tough, and literally
Yeah.
the day I was going in, I think I mentioned this before. I took off of work, man, because I'm like, okay, I got to
Mhm.
finish this. I did. I finished it the
Mhm.
day of,
Mhm.
my fifth step, and it was a good process though. But I mean, both of us waited another 4 months or 5 months or whatever it was to to get it done.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. And I mean, Phyllis, God rest her soul. Somebody rest her soul. She did enough. She needs some rest.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, Phyllis always said, look, you don't rush into this thing. At 30, 60, 90 days sober, you're fucking, your head's just still a goddamn mess. You cannot take a good, honest look at yourself. You can't. I mean, there's no way at 30 days sober I could have done a decent fourth step. There's
Right.
just no way. I mean, and there's some schools of thought, oh, Dr. Bob went out and did it right. Well, good for Dr. Bob. It's it's individual, man. But
Hmm.
Phyllis always said, you should be close to a year sober, right around there, before you finish your fourth step. You start working on it before then. But I mean, to have it complete and you need that clarity, man. It's the same with getting into a relationship. We need to get our shit together. And it's a process, and it takes time. It takes a lot of time. Just because we put down the drink or the drug doesn't mean we're fixed, not by a long shot.
Right.
We've got to physically and mentally, we've been beating the fuck out of ourselves for a long time. And we've got to come back from that for a while before we can actually do any kind of decent work. That's why working those first three steps over and over and getting good at working those first three steps before we start doing, see, these steps are in order for a reason, kids. They are. We've got to get those first three steps. That first step's got to be really tuned good before you can even think about doing a decent fourth step, in my stupid opinion. Because, I mean, yeah, I can't truly get into myself until I truly believe that I have absolutely no fucking power over those substances and my life is fucked up. I can't run my own life. I can't be in the proper headset to start looking at myself and making some real changes to myself by doing this inventory. The first step of doing that is doing this inventory and see exactly what the fuck I am. I can't do that until I have, realized I can't use anything. My life is a fucking mess, and the way that I run my life is a fucking mess, and I need help running my life with the second and third steps before I get to that fourth step. It's important.
Right.
So there.
So there.
Yeah,
Yeah, the 12-year-old just came out at you. So there.
it did. Well, yeah, I'm only 12.
Right. But no, it's just kind of funny when I was thinking about that too, and this just occurred to me that I mean, I didn't have those couple of revelations to get those two big items out of my head until I
Right.
was 9 months sober. That I never thought about that until just now when you were talking about that.
Mm-hmm.
So if I God, I think back now, if I would have done, let's say if I would have gone through, who knows, if I would have went through and I'll say again, air quote, complete, four step at that
Right.
7 or 8 month period, would it have
Mm-hmm.
been the right? Would it have been right? Would it have been thorough?
Right.
I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. But
Yeah.
see all of these things too, and just so everyone knows, when we talk about these things, I'm not second guessing how things happen because it's in my stupid opinion. Because I like the way you said that. We don't
Yeah.
even have humble opinions. We just have stupid opinions.
Stupid opinions.
So in my stupid opinion, um, everything from the day I was born until, right now. Everything
Mhm.
happened for whatever reason. I don't need to understand it. I certainly don't
Nope.
need to like it. But
Mm.
all these things, that have happened to me, good, bad, or indifferent, were
Mhm.
for a reason, and thankfully I can look back now and, it almost, I mean, what are we, 3 weeks away from, our 13th anniversary. And it just occurred to
Mhm.
me that my head wasn't right at 7 months. I mean, that's kind of fucked up. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's astounding to me that
Mhm.
I just figured that shit out. But thank you, podcast. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, all you people, for encouraging us with your
Mhm.
following and all that stuff, for us to come back every week, for me to figure that shit out right in front of you. But I mean, no, seriously though, it's that the process that we went through, and that's why when you had said about did I just grab a resentment, or however you put it? No, because I know that my sponsor Bill, that was his name. He
Mhm.
Everything he did for me, he did in his way, and in my opinion, it was the right. He knew how to deal with me. That's it.
Right.
And he
Yeah.
dealt with me I think the right way, because hey, for whatever reason, to this day, this shit's worked out so far. So
Mhm.
I ain't gonna
Yeah.
knock on anything. Fuck it. It worked out because I did the work, and I had good
Yep.
people along the way, and continue to have good people along the way too. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, I mean, I like what you said to begin with about in everyone. I don't think I've ever talked to anyone who has not been, whether they've been scared, or, if worst case, a little bit nervous, apprehensive, or that sort of thing about the fourth
Mhm.
step. I think everyone does, right? I mean, I've
Well, yeah, yeah. Jesus Christ, I don't want to fucking look at myself and
right.
the shit I did, and yeah, and then I've really got to get to work because I now I see it right there, written in paper in black and white, and I've got to start changing it. Ooh, we hate change.
Right. Right. Well, now I just went ahead and fucking wrote it down. Now I got to do something about it.
Yep.
Uh,
Can't lie to myself anymore. God damn it.
right. Well, and then go back to the gratitude list that I wrote down.
Mm-hmm.
It's right there in front of me. So,
Yep.
but the other thing that the other I what do you call it, revelation or not? And I think it's been since you and I have been talking, more so here. We've talked about it more, but looking at the good stuff, that we do, because now we do that daily
Mm-hmm.
inventory, the 10 step. There was a while there for the first, at least probably the first, probably 2-3 years. I don't necessarily
Mm-hmm.
think I looked at the positives.
All
I
right.
just kind of I just looked at, did I fuck with anyone? Did I piss anyone off?
Mm-hmm.
Do I need to
Mm-hmm.
apologize? Did I
Right.
did I whatever it is? Did I blow some shit up that day? But
Right.
now I do, and sometimes it's again. I don't feel like we've talked about this, probably nauseating at how much we talked about, not having bad days, but we had those moments, throughout the day, and now it's almost the other way around. I try not to
Mm-hmm.
I try not to rehash that shit. I don't need. I've been hashing this shit all through my head all fucking day. When I
Right.
lay down and do my 10 step now, I kind of look over still what I did during the day, good, bad, or indifferent. But I don't sit there and
Mm-hmm.
replay whatever this hashing has been.
Right.
So it's almost the opposite, and it's just
Mm-hmm.
I can't do anything about it when I'm going to fucking bed, So
Right. Yeah, exactly. And right. And like you said, it took you several years to get to the point where you were focusing on the positive as well. And yeah, that's what it is. The time takes time shit. I lived for 40 plus years in the negativity. That's not going to flip right over right away. It takes time. You got to work those muscles that you've never worked before in the positive side. It's not my nature. It wasn't my nature to look at the positive, to look at the good. My nature was to look at the bad and the negative and the garbage. That's the way I saw the world. And yes, it took time to get to the good, and again, it got there by acting like Like it was good, you know. And slowly but surely, I went, oh yeah, maybe there is some good shit around here. I should continue to look for it. And the more I looked, the more I found. Imagine that. And stopped looking for the garbage and didn't notice it as much. Yeah.
Right. Were you peeling back the layers of the onion?
No. My onion was still quite big at that point.
Yes. What the fuck, man? I still got an onion. That was funny. That's whatever
Right.
that was. A handful of episodes ago that cracked me up still.
Mhm.
But no, and it made me think of, and I'll let you repeat it because you hung around Vinny more than I did. But repeat what Vinny used to say about walking into the woods.
Oh, yeah, yeah. It was a great one. You don't walk 10 miles in the woods, turn around, take 2 steps, and expect to be out of the woods.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. And that's one of my favorite sayings by almost anyone that we've encountered in this process, from
Hmm.
day one. But yeah, Vinny was a guy that did. He was a couple years behind us, I think, or I don't know,
Yeah,
whatever it
yeah.
was, couple,
Right.
But good dude, used to sit in on group with you, and then would sit in
Hmm.
sometimes when I was there, and super positive and just an all around really really nice guy. But yeah, he said that the first time he said that in group, I was like, God damn, that's some shit, man. I like that. I like
Yeah,
that a
yeah,
lot.
yeah, yeah. Me too. Yeah, I stole it and used it a lot.
Right,
And you know what? I'm sure he stole it from somebody too.
right. Well, and it's just one of those things where, yeah, and we've talked about this before. I mean, I'm a very visual person, and that puts me, I can relate to that, and I know a lot of people can. It's just I need to be able to picture something, and
Hmm.
you can almost feel that walking 10 miles,
Right.
or even a fucking mile into the woods.
Hmm.
Turn around, and go, are we there yet?
Right. Oh, good. You're right. I stopped drinking. I took 2 steps. Why am I still in these fucking woods?
Right.
Yep. Because you are. Because you walked those 10 miles in first.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, all this stuff. I mean, the whole, the thing that the simple sayings. The time takes time, man, because it does. And
Hmm.
and like I said just a few minutes ago, I get this revelation that I wasn't ready at 7 months to actually do a do a proper 4 step.
Hmm.
But you remember Matt at Who Do You Know? Because so step 4
Hmm.
again reads, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. And
Right.
he used to always talk about, we're all good people and we all think we're good people. But he used to
Hmm.
say, he used to say this all the time. He's like, good people don't have to do a searching and fearless moral inventory of themselves.
Right.
In this dude now, what is he? He's got to be, he's 30 plus, right? In his time,
Oh,
30
yeah.
years
Yep.
plus,
Oh, yeah.
and
Yeah. He's probably
um,
pushing 40.
I was going to say that, but then I'm like, I didn't. Well, again, he might have been in the mid
Hmm.
20s or late 20s at the time that we got sober.
Right.
So yeah,
Hmm.
but he used to crack me up because he was he would run kind of was he like the secretary of that meeting, or I mean, he used to.
Mm, and home group member,
Yeah,
one of those, those 5 or 6 guys that started that meeting. Yep,
right.
definitely.
But yeah, that was something he used to say all the time, and
Hmm.
it's true, and it doesn't mean
Yeah.
we're horrible people. We just, we
No.
were,
Hmm.
we weren't the best individuals in the world, but yeah, your normal everyday person doesn't necessarily have to sit down. Hopefully, maybe
Hmm.
good people probably do this shit, just not even thinking about it,
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's natural to them. They temper their instincts all on their own.
Right.
I don't understand that shit.
Yeah, you talk to a good, decent human being, and they're like, "Well, I do that every day. It's just
Hmm.
that's how I live
Yeah.
my life." Really? Fuck. Okay.
Right.
I
Well, good for
yeah.
you.
I didn't know that until 13 years ago. I didn't realize we were supposed to do that.
Hmm.
But yeah, so I mean, clearly the 4 step didn't kill us. I mean,
Mm,
it's unnerving, again going into it, but
sure.
it is what it is. But yeah, anyone who isn't a 12 step program, if you're new to recovery, or if you've done it before and didn't feel like you did it, well, or thorough enough, whatever the deal is, like
Hmm.
Mike said, it's simple. It's just a matter of taking a look at, you take a look at the shit you got to fix, but also the good stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and look at it that way. It's a positive. Once you do it, and this is again our stupid opinion, but what we
Mm-hmm.
were taught, is that if you do that 4-step right, you don't have to do it again. Um,
Right.
there's people out there that if you disagree with us, that's perfectly fine. Don't care.
Oh, yeah.
Because a lot of people do them yearly. They do it every 5 years and
Mm-hmm.
redo their
Mm-hmm.
4th and 5th. Perfect, awesome.
Yeah.
But that's
Right.
not the way we were taught. So
Right. Yeah. That's what that 10 steps for.
right.
I don't need to go back and do a 4-step because I do a daily one and I don't build all that shit up anymore. I don't have to.
Right.
Yeah.
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 If I end up having to do a 4-step again, there's going to be a bunch of drinking involved beforehand, I'm guessing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, more than likely.
Yeah. If I
Yeah.
would even survive, to get to another
Mhm.
another 4-step. So, you know what? I don't want to do that today. So I don't want to do another 4-step. So
Me neither. Yeah, exactly.
why'd you stay sober? I just don't want to do a 4-step again.
I just don't want to do another fucking 4-step,
Yeah.
man. Right. And remember, I mean, yes, when you do a 4-step, it's going to make you uncomfortable. That's what
Mhm.
it's there for. And you know what? What is getting loaded all about? Making ourselves comfortable. We don't want to feel uncomfortable, so we medicate ourselves on a daily basis. Well, early recovery is all about being uncomfortable for a while, getting used to being uncomfortable. And you know what? You get through all that shit. And quite frankly, today, I'm pretty goddamn comfortable.
Right. Well, and that's the thing,
Yep.
especially in early recovery, but even now, I mean, as shit, hits us or pops up or whatever the case is, if
Mhm.
things don't make us uncomfortable every once in a while, we're probably not doing this thing right, so
Right.
because it means we're not changing, so
Hmm.
there's nothing once you accept the fact that that little bit of uncomfortableness, number one, you get through it, and number two, it
Yep.
probably means you're changing, which is hopefully a good thing.
Yep.
So, anything else with the 4-step, or did we beat that dead horse enough?
Yeah. Just don't do it on a computer. Don't do it on your phone.
Right.
No talk to text bullshit. I'll tell you, you guys know I'm an atheist. I don't believe in magic and metaphysical and supernatural, but there's something kind of special about picking up a pen and paper and doing it. It just writing it down does something different. It just really does. So pick up that pen, even though it weighs 4,000 pounds.
Well, and there's a point behind this because Mike, but just for everyone else, I did a ton of training from on a work standpoint for
Mhm.
years, employee training and development, all that stuff, and still to this day, when I'm learning something, I always take handwritten notes. It's
Mhm.
yeah, sometimes again I'd rather type it, but
Mhm.
this is a fact. If you write something down, not only does it involve you, in the process,
Right.
actually physically involve you, you're in this is true. You can look it up. You have a better opportunity of remembering it too. It's
Mhm.
that hand-eye coordination, and you'll remember, what you're doing. You'll be more involved, and you'll be better off doing it anyhow. So
You'll
there's
remember what an asshole you were.
yeah, right. But I mean, seriously, there is a point, and like you said, in my
Yep.
and that I almost forgot, to mention that, but my sponsor specifically said that to me because he knew. I
Yep.
mean, at that point, I had already gotten the computer and stuff like that, and he says, "Don't do it on that computer of yours. Take a pencil. He goes, you can take a pen if you want. It's fine."
Mhm.
But he
Mhm.
said, notepad and write it all down, and I did.
Yep.
So, but yeah, it's important, and I think that writing stuff down, physically writing it down, especially that, and you're right.
Mhm.
There's something to it, So I agree.
Good.
I concur.
All right, we are in agreement.
Yeah, which is not necessarily it's not a surprising thing, but
No.
it's been a while. I don't even remember the last time that we disagreed. We've probably had like this and that, and a healthy discussion about something, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about a disagreement. So,
Right.
but so are we good on the 4-step? You think anything else to
I
add?
believe we've covered. Yep, I think we've covered it.
Okay. So there was and again back to the whole actions thing. I'm getting more into
Mm-hmm.
these things. So there was two from, well, they had to have been from this week. One from
Mm-hmm.
Keep It Simple and one from God Grant Me. And I don't remember what days they were, but I just so everyone knows all the shit that we just said about writing this stuff down. This I do. This is typed because it's I keep a list. I've got reminders on my phone, and as I think of these things throughout the day, and I everything we just told you not to do. When I leave my notes, I do everything. It's on my phone. It's voice text. It's everything because that's how it's impossible for me to write all this shit down. Sometimes I'll be in a grocery store and I'll think
Oh,
about it.
it's possible. You just don't do it.
Well, if I'm in a grocery store and a thought crosses my mind, I'll forget it before I even get to the end of the aisle.
Right.
So for in that part of it, it will be impossible for me to remember it. But either way, that
All
was just
right.
kind of a joke. So so from Keep It Simple, and this was the action that says, "Is there anything I need to do before I die? Can I do it today? If I
Mm,
can, I will." And I put the word "need" in quotes because that's what kind of stood out to me. And I know it's
mm-hmm.
kind of morbid before you die, but I mean,
Mm,
whatever. We're talking in a general sense. But
right.
so is there anything I need to do before I die? And then the second part, can I do it today? And then the third part, if I can, I will, sort of thing. So, is there
Mm-hmm.
anything that pops off the top of your head that you need to do or you feel like you need to do?
Um, um, no, not really. I mean, I need, not probably, don't qualify it, asshole. I, I need to do a will. I do need to do that. I clearly can't do it today, and I won't do it tomorrow. But yeah, that's something, stuff like that. Yeah, there's a few things that I need to get my shit together and be a grown up, but I'm still working on that. So, um, but I mean, as far as but that's legal shit and
Right.
whatever. As far as something I need to do, no, nothing really comes to mind. I think I think I do what I'm supposed to do. Yeah.
Right.
It's kind of a nice feeling.
I know, and that's the reason that it's the reason that I wrote this one down. And again, I'm air quoting wrote this one down.
Mm-hmm.
Is because I thought the same thing, and that's why I put the word need in quotes
Mm-hmm.
because there's a ton of things I want to do. You know,
Sure. Oh
um,
yeah.
always things that I want to do, but the will's a good part too. I mean, they're a good point because I think that, and if Dawn ever listens to this, theoretically on paper right now, there's a piece of paper out there right now that says Dawn gets all my shit, which
Mm-hmm.
and Dawn's my ex-wife. Dawn is my son's
Right.
mom and my ex-wife. And one of
Right.
the reasons I haven't even worried too much about it is because if she got all my shit, I know she'd do the right thing with it. So I
Right.
don't,
Right.
not that I don't care, but I don't want to burden her with that either.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, the will part of it, and you're right. You're right. I have to get a proper one in order. But it made me
Mm-hmm.
think about what I was talking about when mom passed, is,
Mm-hmm.
because that's when you think about that stuff. Was there anything left unsaid?
Sure.
Anything, and I,
Mm.
again, they're thankfully, in, I said this before, but I try really, really hard not to dwell on these things too much when I put them down like that, because I don't want it to ruin my thought pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I didn't really think about this and too much, but the initial thought, and even now, I don't think there's anything that if I drop dead right this moment, I don't think that there's
Mm-hmm.
anything that was left undone. And I feel like that, like I said, from mom's standpoint, um, you know,
Mm-hmm.
all the different things that we went through over our lives, but things were settled and all the different disagreements we had. I pissed her off.
Mm-hmm.
She pissed me off, all these different things, but we were in a good place, and I was at peace with myself. And I think, I don't know, but I think she was at peace with herself when it comes to me. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't, I don't have, there's no one out there that I think, because that's what I thought about was a people standpoint. Um,
Sure.
I just don't think that there's anyone out there that I've wronged, or that I need
Right. Yeah.
anything I need to fix, you know?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, we did that eighth step, and we're working on that ninth step. But yeah, exactly. There's nobody I need to hunt down and apologize to.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
and
it's nice.
And like you said that, and we've talked about it, but the ninth step could be, we could run across somebody tomorrow that we're like,
Hmm.
fuck, man,
Mm-hmm.
I need to talk to that person.
Right.
But right now, off the top of my head, now who knows if there are people out there that are fucking pissed at us? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
two things: we don't know, and the other thing
Right.
is there's nothing we could do about it. We can't fix it if we don't know,
Right.
you know. So, and I don't think that I haven't even somebody I'm like, that person might be a little irritated at me. I don't know of
Mm-hmm.
anyone. So,
Yeah. Right.
but yeah, it was
Yeah.
just the
Exactly. And if there is somebody out there that like doesn't like me, oh well. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, and if they don't like that, that's their problem.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the whole part of keeping eyesight of the street, eyesight of the street.
And my side of the street's clean.
Let me step back. Our side of the street, not eyeside,
Yes.
my side. But yeah, so it was
My
just,
side.
but it was an interesting one, and again, it had to have been this week because I just, obviously put this down
Mm-hmm.
this week. So, um, so the other one this was from God Grant Me, and again, I think this was it had to be this week, unless this was a leftover. I will list, since because we were talking last week about enemies.
Mm-hmm.
This one says, I will list the person or persons who seems to be my foe right now and talk to my sponsor about how to handle my feelings and behavior around this person. And
Mm.
my question is, and it's based on last week's whole conversation about an enemy, can we have a foe rather than an enemy? I mean, I don't know why the word foe cracks me up. On
I
one,
know. Yeah. Well, because how about a 5?
yeah. Can we have a 3? Can we have a 5? Can we have a foe? But
Yeah. Foe.
but so that's what I thought. I mean, could it be? Is there somebody out there that we consider to be? I don't even know. Is that an adversary? Maybe that's another word for
Mm-hmm.
it. But I don't know. So your
Sure.
opinion?
No. Well, I mean, the only person in my life is, one of my fleet managers, and you know what, I don't let it get to me, and I'm professional with him. And it's funny, I had interaction with the other one today, and we get along great, and we have a nice rapport, and I like the guy as a person and all that good stuff. The other guy I could give a shit about, and but I've got to work with him, and I hang up the phone with them and roll my eyes and go, Jesus, what a moron, and move on. But I certainly don't do anything, again, like we talked about last week. I don't do anything to make his life harder in any way. I don't. I could harbor that. I could very easily harbor those feelings and try to make things more difficult for him, but I don't. And again, it comes back to the reading today. I throw that shit on him, it's going to come back to me,
Right.
and I don't want that. So it is sort of selfish that I don't treat anybody like that today, because I don't want to be treated that way.
Right.
And if I give somebody too much shit, I'm going to get shit in return, and I don't want that. So I will continue to smile and do the next right thing, and hopefully he gets transferred someday.
Yeah. Well, and I thought about the same thing, and it's kind of funny that both of us have this on a work standpoint. It's
Mm-hmm.
my boss. I mean, I don't, and I made this clear. I don't like him. I think he's a moron. That's a great way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
He
Yep.
can't get transferred though because he owns the company.
Right.
But like I said, there's a question mark I put in for a few more days. The weekend for our anniversary, I already put off for, or
Mm-hmm.
put in, as far as being off.
Yeah. Right.
And I was putting in for Founders Day, and then
Mm-hmm.
Kimmy, Brian, Kathy, Kylie, Caleb, somebody else might be going. They're doing Lollapalooza again because Kimmy had sent me
Mm-hmm.
a text. It's like August 3rd, which is a Thursday, and then they're heading back to Appleton on the 4th, and then they have a wedding to go to on the 5th. So I'm going to have this like babysitting weekend, He's going to be here. Ollie will be here that Thursday, and then they're heading back
Nice.
on Friday, and then I'll go up to Appleton and I'll babysit on Saturday and into Sunday. So I put in for that, and then just for the Foo Fighters thing, I put in. I'm like, let's just in case. I did the day after, or like the 17th, whatever it was. Just figuring if we're running, or whatever the case is, if I got shit to do. So
yeah.
So what I always do is I send out an email like, okay, here's days coming up. I already have this one. The April one's already on the calendar, and that I put in for a while ago for our anniversary weekend.
Right.
But I said, these are the other ones coming up. I'm like, and I always do the same thing on my email. Unless anyone has any objections, I'll just go ahead and get them on the calendar, get out calendar reminders, and done. So nobody ever responds. Nobody ever, which is almost kind of fucking rude. I mean, nobody ever says, hey, it's all good, this and that. I always coordinate with our assistant collection manager because, he's covering when I'm gone and vice versa.
Right. Yeah. It affects him directly.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But I mean, he and I work very well together. He's cool, So usually I get that out there, then he and I'll talk, and then we go from there. So my boss sends this email back. Now, he sends it back now to everyone. Okay. So, one of these things. And he says, did you talk to James about all these dates? That's one sentence. Then he says, how many vacation days are left? And that's his email. And I have no vacation days left now. Okay. And he knows that. I know he knows it.
Right.
There's no reason why he wouldn't know it, because I'm sure he
Right.
asked, and so this is him being overtly being a dick, but this is what he does. So I wrote back, I'm like, well, here's the thing. I usually manage my time. First year this, second year this, and I've managed my 2 weeks of vacation. First company I've been at in 20 years that I haven't had 3, but that's beside the point. But I'm just like, this year, I said, with our mom dying and things like that, kind of blew up everything I still had planned. So this, yes, we're all covered, blah, blah, blah. So then after all that, then nothing. He doesn't come back with anything. So I left it today and didn't hear anything because I didn't put him on the calendar yet. Then I'm like, well, why the fuck did you do this if you're not going to come back with something?
Right.
But one way or the other, I'm going to take off.
I ain't going to be there. So.
Right. I mean, but here's the thing, and I don't want to do this, but if you want me to just tell you I'm going to call in sick that day, I'm just, I'm not going to be here. There's no reason in the world. I'm a manager. I do my job. I don't call in sick. I'm never late, all those things. But so that's my foe. That's my foe. That's my fucking foe. But again, I wouldn't consider him an enemy though. And I'm glad we talked about that last week, because I do. I mean, I feel that there's a huge difference when we started talking about that. Because an enemy means, somebody evil that you, like you said, you want to hurt or somebody, or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're going to inflict some sort of negative energy on him. Yeah, exactly. You're going to do something to try to harm them.
Right.
And and you're not.
Yeah.
Just great. Yeah, you just avoid them, but yeah.
Well, and that's the other thing too, is that just so everyone knows, I mean, when I do stuff like this, when I take off, I don't lay my work on anyone. There's one function or one process that James has to keep an eye on if I'm out, but it's not that bad. He gets overloaded with more questions and a little bit more of a workload because I'm not there to help out with some things. But I get all my shit done, or I clean up when I get back, and I do that. I specifically do that, and everyone knows that, but it is what it is. But I'm like, the next question that's going to come up soon is the fact that I'm remote. When's that going to end, and blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, that's the next uncomfortable conversation that's going to come up, because I don't plan on ever going back into any office ever, because I don't want to,
Right.
So, but so our thought pattern is not technically, so a foe is possible. Not a 5, a foe. But enemy, we disagree with the whole concept of an enemy.
Yeah, right. Well, it goes against the way I'm trying to live today.
Right.
Yeah. If you're that fucked up, you're just not going to be in my life.
Right.
I'm not going to waste any energy, positive or negative, on you. Period. Yeah. I don't have time for enemies. You know, I'm trying to nurture the shit that's good, man, and that takes up too much fucking time.
Right. Well, it just reminded me of the old saying where they say that having that anger or resentment at somebody else is like holding a hot rock and expecting them to get burned, or something along those lines. Which
exactly,
it
right.
is. It's exactly that. All it does, they don't fucking know that you don't like them, or that they're your enemy,
Right.
Unless you overtly try to fuck with them, but
exactly. And then if you're doing that, you're doing something wrong, and it's going to fuck you up in the long run anyway. So
right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to write that down. It's okay for me to have a foe. I like to have a foe. Just fire out.
And it kind of comes back around to if you don't like someone, pray for them.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is, what that sounds. And for anyone out there, especially if you're new to this whole thing, that's going to sound like stupid. But one of the things, and once again, I've talked enough about, Dawn, my son's mom, who, we just told a great story about her, last week, and I do as a human being and as an individual, I love her to death, and I think we have a good relationship, and I think she would agree, today, but
right,
but she was, supposedly my problem when I came in, which she was not, but that's how I felt.
Oh, yes, you did.
Yeah.
I remember, man. I mean, you did not like her at all. Well, I recall, and I don't think we've ever mentioned this on this. There was a certain dishwashing liquid that you would not buy. I remember you telling me that. I just remember looking at you going, Jesus Christ, you're fucked up. You're just
right.
I don't believe I said that to you at the time, but I just looked at you and went, wow, that is the dumbest goddamn thing I've ever heard in my life. You got some shit you got to work through, pal.
Oh yeah. It was,
and thankfully you did.
Right. But it was extreme, but as one of the things and we've told this story before, but they did that to us in group, got us all fucking worked up, who you angry at, why, and think about that person, this and that, and then they're like, and now you got to pray for him, and everyone's just like, what the fuck, but I did, and this whole progression, went from me not liking her to me praying for her for just because she was my son's mom, and now I do. To this day, she's in my prayers. Her and my daughter's mom, both my ex-wives, in my prayers every single night and every single morning.
Right.
And I pray for them to be, healthy and safe. Because I want that for them.
Yep.
And I adore both of them. They're great human beings, and
Yep.
For everyone out there, and I'm just going to tell you a little secret. I was the problem.
Right. Yeah. And the whole point of it is to, again, use the analogy, man, work those muscles that we've never worked. There's these people that we think we have a problem with, and of course we're the problem, but yes, these people that we don't like because we fuck them over and it makes us feel guilty. It's generally what it is. And we don't like feeling guilty, so we decide to turn it around and say they're the problem and we don't like them.
Right.
But working that muscle and praying for them in general, not genuinely, because when you first start doing it, you don't feel it. It doesn't mean anything to you, but doing it over and over and over, taking that action, you start going, you know what? I do kind of like that person. I do want good things for them.
Right.
They're not the fucking problem. I'm the fucking problem. And but again, taking time and doing that action over and over that makes you uncomfortable and doesn't make sense. And yes, and eventually you get the result. That muscle becomes strong and you actually care about these people. It's pretty cool.
Oh, it's mind blowing, because I never would have thought, that something like that would have worked, but it did, and it relatively speaking, it didn't take that long, for that. It didn't take me, 12 years to get to that point. It was relatively quickly as I kept working this thing, which, I think it happened probably for you too, if you had that, but I mean, with her specifically, it was just, it didn't take that long, for me to get my head removed from my asshole.
Oh, she's actually kind of a pretty good person.
Yeah, she truly is.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Yeah.
so I know we're getting up to that time frame, but I have one more thing. So, did you ever listen to Mark Maron's interview with Yardley Smith from The Simpsons?
Yeah, that was from a few years ago, right?
Yeah, and I'm back. Probably I might be up to early 2019 now.
Okay,
but it was.
I'm sure I did those again. Those were I listened to all those back when I was driving 8-9 hours a day straight.
Right.
So yeah, I'm sure I did.
But it was first of all, she was a great interview. I mean, she was or a great talk, as he says. But so she in the one part of it though, and I kept rewinding it to make sure I got the whole thing. So they were talking about getting positive feedback from people, which kind of made my ears perk up because of again we get some of these positive things. And then Mark says he goes first of all you say these things and do these things for selfish reasons, and she agrees, she had a podcast or does, and the same thing. I'm like, well, that's why we started this, selfish. It was for us. But then this was kind of the funny part. She says that you fill that hole inside you. And then she goes, then it turns out that you actually help somebody else fill their hole. And it was just because the only reason I heard that specifically is because it popped up. They're talking about these positive things. And she's like, yeah, you do it to fill the hole inside. And then you end up helping other people fill their hole. And I'm like, yep. I got to write that one down. I got to talk about that. But no, I'm just listening back to some of these, and that was one of the ones I listened to recently, and yeah, she was pretty cool. He was on, and I didn't realize that they did a cameo of him. Well, not even a cameo. They did a segment for him actually interviewing Krusty the Clown on The Simpsons.
Yeah, that's right. I do remember that. Yeah, because he had done that. It was like on when she was on the episode. Yeah,
right. Yeah, it was pretty funny because I looked it up and I saw like a bit of a clip. I didn't look up to see the whole thing. Maybe I saw the whole thing, but I'm like, well, that's pretty fucking cool. So it was just kind of neat. So I didn't realize that he had actually done that, but it was just cool. So, all right. Well, I think we're good. I mean, we're like an hour and a half now, and it's a weeknight and all that good stuff. So, well, it's always a weeknight. Exactly. We actually have to work tomorrow.
Well, no, you do. I don't.
Oh, you're off. Oh, yeah. You're doing that. Okay.
Yeah, that's why we're doing it. Yeah, I'm gonna be at the horror convention tomorrow.
Yeah. See, I didn't realize you had the whole day off. Well, that sucks. Well, I gotta work tomorrow. Fuck, man. Fuck.
More resentments.
Right. But anyhow, so yeah, I think we're good. So if we're good and you're good, then you do your thing.
All right, cool. Well, thank you everyone for listening to another episode of Sober Not Mature. As always, be good to each other, be kind to each other, fill someone else's hole this week. And as always, please, it's time for you to fuck off. Then keep fucking off. Keep fucking off until you get to a gate with a sign on it saying you cannot fuck off past here. Climb over the gate. Dream the impossible dream and keep fucking off forever.
I almost started laughing when you said about the filling the whole thing. I'm like, no, don't laugh. Because I do. I try to give you just a nice clear pathway through that whole thing. So I'm just sitting here. I'm like quiet. I didn't even have a chance. I could have just reached up and hit mute, but I'm like, fuck, man, that was funny.
Yep.
So, all right, man. Well, enjoy your horrors tomorrow, and
I shall. I shall. All the creepy crawlies, and yep, it's going to be a good time.
Yeah, but definitely take some pictures and shoot them over, and then, or if you post them on Facebook or wherever, I'll grab some and throw them up on Instagram when I get a minute. So, all right.
All right. Cool.
All right, brother. I love you, and I will obviously talk to you soon.
Yep, absolutely. Love you too, and have a happy April, all you fools out there.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
As always, thank you for listening to another episode of Sober Not Mature. To access all of our content and interact with us, please visit our website, SoberNotMature.com. Thank you again for listening, and we will talk to you soon.